This is a third generation Apple iPod released in 2003, and it has a special feature. It has a feature that if you put a screen inside of it that's working, it'll make it not work anymore. Yeah, it fried that screen, and then the screen that's inside of it, originally it only showed the color white. The backlight was the only thing that worked, and I thought that that screen was just faulty, and replacing it would fix the problem. But it turns out replacing it broke the replacement. So this iPod, it pretty much just made me want to take a drill and just drill straight through it, and then just throw it in a ditch and bury it. Instead, I have an identical, fully working iPod that we're going to use to fix this iPod with. And the logic of taking something that works and fixing something that's broken, why not just keep the one that's literally identical and that works? Well, you see, this is a YouTube video, and YouTubers are idiots. This is a third generation iPod as well. It's 40 gigabytes. It's your mom's iPod. It's pretty fat. Look at all that, man. Your mom, it's pretty thick. I'm talking about your iPod. These things are thick, and that was because they had hard drives. Well, they have hard drives. Dual layer, man. 40 gigs. That's the biggest third generation iPod there was. And this iPod is going to get... Hey, I didn't tell you to turn on. It'll be very interesting to test this iPod's components with this iPod. This thing is rather trashed. First things first, it's not dead, so let's take this sticker up. Once you start pulling it, you go slow and steady at the exact same amount of pressure the whole time, and that way you don't rip it, unless the sticker decides to be stupid. Ooh, reveal that Apple logo. Beautiful. Anything with an Apple logo is good. That's a joke. We don't need this thing right now, and we don't need this. All we need is this right here. Give it a quick clean. Oh, there's sticker residue there. Can't allow sticker residue. This thing cleans up a lot better than I thought it would. Yeah, I guess I better put the hold switch on, because this thing's complaining. Isn't it nice to have a dedicated switch to do something where you know it's either on or off, instead of a button? Talking about the iPhone 15, man. No battery power. It's complaining. Let's crack it open like an egg and open it up like a stupid book. Now to detach the audio connector, hard drive, take out 6 screws, click wheel ribbon cable, and then the logic board. Next goes the screen connector and then the screen itself. So what I've just taken apart is the fully working iPod that we're going to use to fix the broken one. And now we're going to test the broken or faulty parts in the working one to see what they do. First is the original screen from my iPod that's faulty. It only shows white. The backlight is the only thing that works. I've got the working iPod together with the faulty screen, and there's the click wheel sounds, and the screen turns white. Now that we've verified that screen is toasted, it's time to test the front case from the faulty iPod. Now we already know one of the parts from this iPod is frying screens, because in my last video, a working screen was made no longer working by the iPod. And I thought the part that was making screens no longer working was the logic board, because that's the brain of the iPod. But it turns out the brain isn't fried. It's the white front case that's killing screens, and it wasn't until after my test that I realized that, because it made the screen from the working iPod not a working screen anymore, because it just shows the color white, like the screen that was originally in the not working iPod. And at this point, I was out of replacement screens, so I decided to take the iPod apart and just reseat the connector again, because unplugging it and plugging it back in is the only thing I had at this point. And instead of just showing white, the screen that used to work in your mom's iPod now just does not do anything at all. So 2 completely dead screens, and the original one that only shows white. This is the definition of gaining absolutely nothing. Except now I can be sure that this problem isn't my fault. It's the white front case that's killing the iPods. For a while, this iPod was giving me depression because I thought I was the one killing the iPods, but no, it was the iPod that was killing itself. So another dead screen, but where does that leave us now? Well, we have your mom's faceplate, the original logic board. I put OG on all of the OG components. Got the back case with the headphone flex that I sort of destroyed, but that's an easy mistake, and that was my fault. The screen wasn't, which really does give me some more confidence knowing the screen wasn't my fault. There's the original hard drive. Got the original battery, and that's pretty much your iPod, except for the screen. We've got ourselves pretty much another iPod. So the logic of breaking multiple iPods to fix one, it doesn't really work, but that's what I did in this video. What I set out to do was fix my iPod. And I can't just say I fixed my iPod by making it an entirely different iPod and just calling it the same thing. That's a Ship of Theseus problem. If you replace every single part in your iPod, does that mean it's the same iPod? What if you save all the parts that are either broken or cosmetically affected and then put those back together? Do you now have 2 of the exact same iPod? That's the question. I guess that's some philosophy for you when we're working on iPods. So take the screen out of the other part of an iPod, and this is a working screen. I know that the original front case kills iPod screens because I tested it with a known good logic board. I haven't tested this logic board with a good screen, and if this logic board fries the screen, I'm probably going to toss this iPod into a river and never think about this video again. So please, I'm begging you, iPod, don't be dumb. So let's reassemble the iPod. The original logic board going in there with the original battery from 2003, which is insane. One thing I've noticed throughout this tedious process in this video is that this original 2003 battery actually holds a charge impressively well. We're plugging the drive in. But remember, in part 1 of dealing about this iPod, the screen initially worked, and then it had a permanent line on the screen. Then I turned the iPod off and back on again to hopefully get rid of the line, and then it killed the screen. So let's hope that's not the case this time, because we're not using that front case that was confirmed to be frying screens. Looks like a perfect no lines in the screen on this iPod right now. Got that glorious clicking sound. That ASMR tickles my brain. A working iPod after all these screens, except it's not together yet. We need to screw in the screws. Just screwing in the 4th screw, and noticed this. And it looks like that clip is supposed to look like that. I really should take the iPod out of the iPod for this, but at this point, I'm done. All right, so that clip's drying, but I'm just going to go ahead and put the iPod back together anyway. And then there's that headphone jack flex. Put it in like that. Now I'll put this in down first, because that's where the glued clip is, and I don't think I would put any pressure on it. Give it a little snap right there. Snap. On all sides. Good, good. It's back together. Let's just hope nothing else breaks. So it's about an hour after putting everything back together, and there's a problem, because of course there is. This iPod has that now. But the thing is, you can't see it unless it's at the most certain angle and the most certain light. And I've had such a hard time getting this camera to see it in this angle, but it's there because this picture shows it. It's just like underneath. So remember that faceplate that I just harvested that working screen from? Yeah, it had a logic board, and we're going to need to use that. I had just put the iPod back together thinking that we were done, but no, I have to take it apart again. And of course, something else went wrong, because oh my gosh, why do things keep going wrong on this project? I swear to God, this iPod makes me so... Yeah, that metal thing. It's supposed to be where the clips hold themselves, and you see how it's necessary, because when you don't have it there, it just falls out. Oh, and you know how I was panicking about the screen being cooked by the original logic board? It turns out that's not even the case. Oh, don't get me wrong, those marks are still there, but it's apparently totally normal. So I spent all this time switching the logic board, which took me a while, and damaged the iPod in the process, and it's not even a problem. It's totally normal, according to Elite Obsolete, and he would know because he owns more iPods than everyone watching this video put together, I'm pretty sure. So I'm sounding pretty exasperated, and, well, yes, because we still have a damaged iPod after it was not damaged from the screen because of the clip. This iPod is just slip and slide, I'm telling you, man. With everything that's gone wrong in this video, it was totally natural for me to think that this was something bad. The original iPod was killing screens. We narrowed it down to the faceplate, but I hadn't tested a good screen with the logic board, so I thought the logic board was slow cooking the screens while the faceplate was frying them. But thankfully, it's fine, except we still have to fix the metal bracket, which is still broken even though the iPod is fully working. So if you don't realize by now why I was discouraged about this project, you should probably realize by now, because there was so many times when making this video that I thought it was done. So much so that it made me miss my upload a couple times, because I didn't have any other videos done, and I thought that I could get this video in time with just another little bit of filming. So when you see I haven't uploaded for a month, it's not, oh, he's lazy. No, it's more like, oh, he has a stupid iPod. Excuses, but still, get subscribed, because there's tons of content coming and some more stuff about iPods. I would know, because I'm working on a video about another problematic iPod, and it'll probably be better than these 2 videos were. Enough talk. The iPod still needs fixed. So the rivets somehow failed on the back case of the iPod, and that metal piece is necessary because it holds the front case in the iPod. So without it, I'd have to be duct taping the iPod together or something, and we're not doing that after all of this that we've done for this iPod. So at this point, it's either run the iPod over with my truck and finish the video, or trying to fix the metal bracket and finish the video. I'm going to try and glue the metal piece in and see how well it will work. So I lined it up with tweezers, and then I used some of those binder clips. Luckily, I just bought over 100 of them, so I had some extras. That should secure it while it dries, and hopefully when it dries it won't immediately fall off. So 10 days later, and the glue didn't really work out, because you see the metal piece? Yeah, it didn't really come off, it just wasn't glued on right, so it wouldn't have worked. I'd show you why the glue didn't work out, but it turns out I'm an idiot and I forgot to record that part, so you'll just have to take my word for it. FYI, it didn't immediately fall off, it just wasn't glued in the right spot, because somehow it shifted when drying. Yay! But now I know that the original logic board is okay, we'll slap that back in there, since trying to keep as many of the original parts as possible. And speaking of original parts, the original back case is kind of screwed up, because obviously, the clip. The next step is duct taping it back together. Just kidding! But still, we're done with proper fixes. I'm going to put glue along the edge and shut the iPod iPod and then rubber band it like it's in a straitjacket. Seriously, this is my solution. The glue's been drying overnight. Let's see how well it turns out. Take all of them off. Let's see, I don't even know which side it was at this point. Yeah, so it's definitely staying together. The glue worked, and you would not know that this thing is glued together probably until you try to take it apart. But we're not going to be doing that again. I could have gotten a new back case and properly fixed it, and maybe I'll still do that. Comment below, should I keep it like this, or should I properly fix it? What does this iPod deserve? What do you guys think? And about that back case from your mom's iPod, I could have used that, but instead you can subscribe to my channel. Oh wait, 2 iPods. One of them says subscribe. That's what this week's mirror video is going to be about. Turning your mom's iPod into subscribe. By the way, this is the original front case I was frying the iPods. Then I used the original screen that was only white. Do you see where I'm going with this? Backlit subscribe image. And the guts in this iPod fully work. I can listen to music out of it if I want to. You have to become a member to watch that video now. There's tons of content coming, including video that we're flash modding a 5th generation iPod. I bought more Macs on eBay. This is one of them. That's the thumbnail for that video. It won't be out soon, but it will be a video. Lots of content coming. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. I'll see you next week for another video.